My mother is a dragon, and she laid 2 eggs and a me. She knew the egg, not me, and thought I was a parasite, so she took it out and threw it away. Until she suddenly remembered that she had slept with someone on 2 legs. So he picked me up again overnight. 1. My mother's life is nothing but eating and sleeping. Sleep on various males. If there are eggs, they will never hatch, and they will fend for themselves. This time, the next person has hands and feet, can move and cry. She suddenly didn't know what to do. She pulled me for a long time and muttered. No claws, no teeth, not even a shell. My mother tried to throw me into the sky. Seeing me fall straight down, hurry up and catch me. I can't fly either. 2. I am simply my own, and although my mother is confused, she knows that she cannot let this villain survive alone. So she flew with me. One moment he would put me in his mouth, and the other time, he would put me on the door of his head. Take it wherever you go. Even if I take on a human form and come to the mortal world to eat and drink spicy food, I don't forget to squeak me in the creaky nest. Until an old lady asked with her fingers shaking her voice and trembling. Girl, what are you holding in your squeaky nest? My mother nibbled on the cow stick bone and replied vaguely. It's a person, I'm going to do it. The old lady almost lost her breath. Only then did my mother know that the villain did not cry and did not sleep, but was about to starve to death. 3. My mother was very puzzled by what the old lady said that the villain had to drink milk every hour. Isn't it okay for you to let your daughter-in-law feed her more? I have eaten my fill for 60 years at a time, and I don't have to eat any more. The old lady took a deep look at my mother. Blasted her out. I said, why can't even milk children? It turns out to be a fool. 4. Before me, my mother's dragon was busy eating and sleeping. After having me, there was another one, busy begging for milk. In my mother's eyes, all living beings are equal, and there is no distinction between high and low. So when it comes to asking for milk for me, she never sticks to human milk. When I saw a female with milk, picked me up and got on. Fortunately, my mother is a dragon, and there are few breeds in this world who dare to refuse her. 5. My mother carried me around the 3 realms to eat and eat all year. I have also grown from a toothless boy who can only drink milk to a little monster that can snatch food from the dragon's mouth. The front teeth have not yet emerged, but the upper and lower 4 canine teeth have all grown. What's even more eyesore is the strange bulge on the corner of the forehead, which when it first came out, my mother pinched it for a long time. This ugly thing can't be a dragon horn, right? Later, the bulge subsided, and my mother finally breathed a sigh of relief. It turned out to be 2 big bags that fell. 6. Given that I can already gnaw on my own pork ribs, my mother thinks I should also gnaw on small fish by myself. So she took on the shape of a dragon, put me on my head, and plunged into the sea. My son, take you to eat seafood for your mother. Me, grunt no. My mother swims in the deep sea, and I am floating on the surface of the sea. My mother chased the fish, bite after bite, gobbling it up. I was caught in the waves, bite after bite, choking to the end. My mother was born with water, so there is no word drowning in her dictionary. By the time she found out that I hadn't kept up, I was already on the surface of the sea and turned over. Does my son have no appetite? Why do you sleep here? When my mother saw that I didn't respond to my 3 calls, she simply put me on the top of my head, soared into the sky, and soared through the clouds and mist. 7. According to my mother's recollection, if a beautiful fairy hadn't stopped her and insisted that her cub was going to die, she would have been able to rush to Yuling Mountain in one breath. I won't miss that gluttonous feast. Every time my mother mentioned it, her face was full of regret and indignation. At that time, I was only 3 years old, and I had never eaten a gluttonous feast, and I didn't feel sorry for missing it, so I didn't have any expressions to respond to. Whenever this happens, my mother will remind me in a friendly way. That immortal snatched you away despite my obstruction, slapped you on the back and just beat you up. He also poked your ribs hard with his fingers, poking you until you cried. Alas, it's all because my mother can't beat him. That hated immortal is really too powerful. When I heard the scene, where I was beaten and cried, I finally started to get angry. So I scolded the immortal with my mother. My mother nodded, took me up the mountain with satisfaction, and went out to dig out the game. 8. After eating and drinking, my mother and I squatted on the top of the mountain to pick our teeth. A white cloud swept in front of our eyes. With a bang, he overturned me directly. I got up and held my figure, and my mother had already scolded me with my waist. Whose child doesn't have long eyes? Drive the cloud so fast, don't you apologize if you hit someone. Naturally, the perpetrator did not respond, and my mother disappeared in anger. The dragon's roar cut through the sky, and in the blink of an eye, there was no trace of his mother. On the desolate hilltop, I was the only one left in the wind. Looking at the direction in which my mother disappeared, I sighed deeply. This is not the first time it has been forgotten. I hope my mother can think of me sooner this time. 9. It's a pity that the sky is dark, and I don't know how many times, and I haven't seen my mother come back. On the contrary, there was an immortal with fluttering clothes falling from the clouds, resting his hand on his cheek, and looking at me for a while, and said with a smile, "The baby is still alive. What a beautiful immortal. It is more beautiful than flowers all over the mountains." "He is the flower fairy," my mother said, "right." When I saw him, my first thought was like this. I lay on the ground, looking at him in a daze, trying to get up but having no strength. 10. It's not easy, the dragon clan doesn't have the habit of raising offspring, you can live with her until now. I moved my mouth but I couldn't speak. He seemed to notice something, picked up my wrist and pinched it again and again. I'm really starving to death. As soon as his palm flipped, a small jade bottle appeared in the palm of his hand. "How can I see you save me once? What chance does your little baby have to succeed?" I didn't have the heart to listen to his long-windedness, so I held his hand and poured a few sips of water from the small jade bottle. Cool, moisturizing and sweet. Delicious. Not only quench thirst but also be full. This must be a good thing. I gulped and swallowed, and there was no reluctance in his eyes, but his smile became more and more gentle. This person is more generous than my mother. 11. After drinking his water, I was energized again. Immediately, he pointed and described to him the story of the immortal driving the clouds and hitting me, and my mother rushed to catch up. "Run away if you hit me." That's bad. I nodded heavily, incomparably agreeing. "Your mother hasn't come back, what are your plans? Garlic? Don't eat. I mean, do you want to stay here and wait, or do you want to go down the mountain?" I thought about it for a long time, and I continued to wait, maybe I would starve to death. What if my mother comes back if she doesn't wait? Finally, my eyes lit up, and I tugged at the hem of his clothes and said happily, "You take me to my mother." 12. The immortal supported his forehead, as if helpless. "You are a little doll, how can I take you? You can hold me in your mouth. I'm not your mother. Then I'll sit on top of you. I don't have such a big head." I carefully looked at the immortal in front of me, yes, it was a human figure. When my mother was human, she either carried me or clamped me in a creaky nest. Then you can carry me or squeeze me in the creaky nest. 13. Finally, he bent down as if compromised, reached through my armpits, and gently picked me up. I felt that it was much more comfortable to hold it like this than to carry it, so I couldn't help but lie on his shoulders and happily kick my legs. He smiled, patted me on the back with one hand and sighed. "What is this? Do you have a big fortune or am I unlucky? Baby, don't kick your feet anymore." 14. I later learned that the person who was holding me all over the world looking for my mother turned out to be the Donghua Emperor in the Heavenly Palace. The Emperor lives in seclusion, and few people in the three realms have seen him. Some people say he is thousands of years old, some say he is tens of thousands of years old, and some people say that he lives the same life as heaven and earth, I don't know how long. There are not many rumors about Emperor Donghua in heaven and on earth, it is nothing more than age, combat power, etc. Even if there is some gossip, it is just that the emperor has recently retreated, the emperor has recently gone to Yuling Mountain to give a lecture, the emperor has recently been invited to a certain puja, and so on. To this day, the emperor has heard a new gossip. The emperor's wife is lost. The emperor took his daughter all over the world looking for his mother. 15. I hugged my favorite ribs, gnawing on my face with oil, no matter what he said at the table next to me. The emperor propped his head, turned the teacup and sighed. Don't look for your mother. No, I can't. I shook my head. Find a master for you. No, I don't want it. Shake your head again. Your mother has never gone back to that mountain. I know. Little baby, the dragon clan does not have the habit of raising cubs, it is normal for them to leave you, you should not be obsessed with this. I curled my mouth, raised my head and shouted. If you want a mother, if you want a mother, you want a mother. Okay, just look for it again. I stopped shouting instantly, pointed to the empty plate on the table and said happily. I also want ribs. 16. On the day the emperor took me away from the mountain, I had already accepted the invitation of the South China Sea. Later, because I couldn't find my mother for a long time, I went to several pujas one after another. In the past 2 years, he has carried me up to heaven and down to the underworld, looked at the Brahma mirror, and checked the book of life and death. I just couldn't find my mother's whereabouts. 17. Donghua, you are really smart and confused for a while. What do you say? You are looking for someone in this earth-shattering way, if she is there, even if she is just floating, she will find it out for you. Since there is no news, it must be hiding in the mortal world. 27. How can I not understand this truth? It's just that there are thousands of worlds, and I can't take her to find her everywhere. You are really old and you actually forgot about the Tianyuan well of the Yuanjinyang. I held my cheeks with my hands on my cheeks, and watched the emperor and the bright moon make you play chess with one hand and the other hand, and I was relishing it, but the emperor suddenly lost the chess pieces. Haha, aren't you afraid of being entangled by fate, and you just don't dare to think of her anymore, right? The bright moon envoy clapped his hands and laughed, gloating. Now let's see if you beg her. Fortunately, you reminded me that I really forgot about those 3 wells. Emperor, what are the 3 wells? I was curious, it sounded like I could find my mother. The emperor drank tea and did not answer, and the bright moon envoy hugged me and said. That's the heavenly edge well of the Lady of Fate, one reflects the past and present lives, the other shines on the blood relatives, and the other bite, which can reflect the person you are destined for. What is a destined person? I asked. It is the one who came to marry you on a big horse when you grew up. Xinyue, it's getting less and less right, how old is she, what are you talking to her about? I really didn't understand the words of the bright moon envoy, so I just asked. Destined person, can you help me find my mother? Mingyue was stunned for a moment, then laughed and nodded repeatedly. Yes, definitely yes. I saw that the emperor gave him a blank look, stretched out his hand and picked me up. 18. Emperor, how long do we have to stand here and wait? The gate several feet high in front of him was tightly closed and showed no sign of opening at all. I was really impatient, holding the emperor's leg and wailing. Don't worry, the Lady of Fate is generous, she will open the door in a while. Humph, it turns out it's not your daughter. A coquettish voice suddenly came from the sky, and then the door really opened slowly. Emperor Donghua, I haven't seen you for more than 1,000 years, I thought you were really so cruel that you brought your daughter to see me. Accompanied by a beautiful female voice, a beautiful shadow floated out and landed softly in front of me. After glancing sideways at the emperor, he squatted in front of me, tapped the tip of my nose with his index finger, and said with a smile. Where did the little man come from? How old are you? Sister, I'm 5 years old. Yuanji smiled, covered his mouth, and said happily. Call me sister. Villain, in terms of age, you should call me ancestor. Hello, ancestors. I immediately greeted him well. The emperor suddenly stretched out his hand to cover my mouth, and at the same time, a thunderbolt scorched the opportunity black. Why? I can't stand her greeting. Yuanji still maintained the posture of being struck by lightning, and black smoke kept coming out of his mouth when he spoke. The emperor shrugged his shoulders and said helplessly, The law of heaven. He shook his head in disbelief. Although I was originally a carp, I have already jumped through the dragon gate and joined the dragon clan. I have cultivated so far, except for the true dragon, who else can overwhelm me like this? The emperor nodded. I nodded too. Although I don't know what they are talking about. Yuanji pointed at me with trembling lips and said in tears. Is this little man a real dragon? Dragon? I quickly waved my hand to deny it. Ancestor, I am a human, and my mother is a dragon. There was a crackling sound, and the lady was split into a dandelion. 19. Taking advantage of the opportunity to return to the bedroom to dress up, the emperor hugged me and found Tianyuanjing. Wow, you can find your mother soon. The emperor made a mistake against 3 identical wells. Which well is it? I saw that the emperor was slow to move and struggled out of his arms in a hurry. Mother, which well are you in? I casually threw myself into the well in the middle and looked inward to look for it. Ah! I retreated in fright. How can there be a big tiger in the well? The emperor supported me and laughed loudly. Our little baby was so fierce in his previous life, not bad. I pushed the emperor away, ran to another well, and looked down cautiously. There are no tigers and there are no mothers. I looked back at the emperor and then at the well, and I felt very strange. There are 2 emperors, one outside and one in the well. Ha! I suddenly reacted, got up suddenly, and pointed directly at the emperor. I was also an emperor in my previous life. 20. Suddenly there was a clanging ring, and the opportunity rushed over with messy steps. She pressed me to look at the well again. When the emperor's beautiful reflection reappeared, the opportunity collapsed. No wonder this well can't reflect my destined person. I thought it was the reason why the emperor had already passed the 3 realms, but it turned out that you just didn't belong to me. A breeze flashed, and I was pressed to the well again. When the figure in the well appeared, I looked back at the emperor beside me. Ha! Emperor, why is your face so dark? 21. It's very strange. Since we took a look at the well at Miss Yuanji, the emperor never smiled at me again. He always had a dark face and fell into deep thought. When I saw him, he rubbed his temples. I laughed at him, and he beat himself on the head. A look of extreme collapse. I knew in my heart that the emperor was crazy. Don't blame me for making such a conclusion. After all, a year ago, when he and Mingyue were playing chess, Mingyue also beat his head like this. I asked why, and the emperor said, he can't beat me, he's crazy. So beating your head is crazy. But, Emperor, why are you angry? The emperor glanced at me and sighed deeply. I'm not angry. Then why are you doing this? I imitated the emperor clenching his fists and beating his head. The emperor replied lifelessly. It's nothing, I don't really want to live lately. Why don't you want to live? Probably because I lived too long and got tired of it. Oh, the emperor is tired of living. 22. I didn't care about the emperor's appearance of a living person dying for too long. After all, I would find my mother soon. The 3rd well of the opportunity lady is really powerful. We saw clearly where my mother was at once. She is indeed popular and spicy in the mortal world, and she is holding a handsome man in her arms, very chic and happy. I wanted to find it immediately, but the emperor said that once you enter the mortal world, the higher your mana, the more limited it is. Even he was the same, he couldn't cast a spell easily, otherwise he would be backlashed. So we can only look for it on foot, and we can't rush at all. After I followed the emperor for many days, my leg was about to break. I got angry and shouted, "If you can't take me to the clouds, can't you hold me?" No. I was so angry that I stomped my feet. I used to hug wherever I went, but after taking pictures of Chen Yuanjing, I couldn't even touch the corners of his clothes. Humph, then I can't do it. I ran to grab his sleeve, only to find that no matter how fast or slow I was, the distance between us remained the same. It will not be so far that it cannot keep up, nor will it be close enough to catch him. I gave up, stopped, and slammed myself on the head. Crazy angry. 23. Seeing that I was not leaving, the emperor also stopped, still at that distance. "I advise you not to beat me." "Why?" "Your brain is not good, in case you become a fool." I didn't want to be a fool, but I wasn't angry at all. So I was in a hurry, fell to the ground and threatened, "If you don't hug me, I won't leave." I don't know how long it has been, my eyelids are heavy, and I am almost asleep. A sigh seemed to be nothing. Then a pair of big hands gently picked me up, and I fell into the familiar warmth. This feeling is very familiar, it is clearly the bend of the emperor's arm that I have been used to sleeping with for a long time. I was so happy that I wanted to shout, "I won." Unfortunately, drowsiness plunged me into darkness. 24. If you don't want to raise it, don't throw it away at will, please send it to Yuling Mountain, and someone will take care of her. The old immortal ran this trip. But I reiterate once again that I didn't throw my son away at will, but... Ah, I forgot. In a daze, someone was always talking in my ears. The voices were very familiar, but I couldn't hear what was said. Until I opened my eyes, the first thing I saw was my mother sleeping next to me. I shouted, "Mother," and climbed on top of her. "Mother, mother, mother." I finally found my mother. I want to tell the emperor this good news. Huh? Where is the emperor? Emperor? You mean the beautiful immortal who sent you over? My mother sat up and stretched her waist a lot. Yes, yes, where is he? He's gone. I saw that he was in a hurry to leave, so I didn't keep him for dinner. I was a little surprised, how could the emperor leave? I never thought that the emperor would leave. Then when will he come back? I ask every day. But the emperor is like a mother, and he forgets to come back when he leaves. 25. I have been missing the emperor for a long time. I even want to go to Tiangong to find him. But I couldn't let my mother take me there, because she was addicted to the world and was always looking for delicious food. Should I say it or not, it's really delicious. As I ate, in addition to growing up, I gradually forgot about that person during those days. 26. Hundreds of years have passed, and according to the lifespan of the Dragon Clan, this too was the first day of my adulthood, and I suddenly had a splitting headache. I held my forehead with both hands, clearly feeling something coming out. My mother checked it carefully and said clearly, "Hi, it's okay, it's just a big bag." What? But I didn't fall. That's what happened. I didn't hit it either. Anyway, it doesn't matter, it will definitely be good to apply some herbs to you. My mother took out a bunch of green leaves from somewhere, smashed them into a paste and pressed them on my forehead. I was in so much pain. It's okay, activate blood circulation and dissolve blood stasis, and the medicine will cure the disease. The next day my forehead was swollen even more. No, who is better to use these herbs, could it be that they have expired? It wasn't until my teeth and nails became sharper that my mother finally slapped her thigh and said excitedly, "I see. My son, you are going to turn into a dragon." Well? Becoming deaf. I'm so sick. Haha, I thought you really didn't inherit the shape of a dragon at all, but I didn't expect you to hide it too deeply. My son can rest assured, when your true dragon characteristics are fully revealed, you will be able to do anything in heaven and earth like a mother. It turns out that the dragon is not deaf. It doesn't matter. Mother, before I turn into a real dragon, get me some painkillers. It hurts so much. 27. My mother went out for a walk and soon came back with painkillers. My son, it's so strange that doctor looks exactly like a beautiful immortal. What beautiful immortal? It's the emperor you're looking for. What emperor? The emperor who raised you for 2 years, although he beat you the first time we met, he really cared about you later. He also told me that I must not throw you away, and if there is anything, go to Yuling Mountain to find someone to help. The emperor who raised me for 2 years. There was a faint shaking figure in my mind, and the clouds cleared and the fog dispersed as I walked, floating and peaceful. I tried to remember that face. Smiling eyes, slightly hooked corners of the mouth. Despite the incomplete picture, I still feel that there is a beauty who has been holding me. 28. Until I completely transformed into a dragon and could change my form at will like my mother, the first thing I did was to go to that doctor. I want to see what the broken face that I can't remember but keep haunting my mind looks like. 29. Girl, do you see a doctor or grab medicine? A young man behind the counter had a kind smile, a handsome face but not beautiful. I was a little disappointed and muttered. Isn't this pretty? The face that has bothered me for a while, that's it. The guy was stunned for a moment and then smiled. The girl is also here to admire Dr. Gu's peerless appearance, right? Please take your number and line up. Ah Fei doesn't want to joke. The clear voice lifted my spirits, as if I had heard it somewhere. With the sound of talking, the curtain was lifted, and I looked over and crashed straight into those familiar eyes. Emperor! I subconsciously screamed. The blurred figure gradually became clear, and the mutilated face was put together. I finally remembered that person. It's you. Donghua Emperor. 30. Miss Long, I said that our Dr. Gu is called Guzichin, not an emperor, why don't you believe it? Okay, Guzichin is Guzichin, what about others? I walked to the backyard familiarly, and Ah Fei hurriedly came over to stop me. Dr. Gu went to the clinic and was picked up by the palanquin sent by the prefect early in the morning. Is it the governor again? Is this prefect's family so bad? Why does every time I come to him in the past 2 days, he goes to the prefect's house? Are there so many patients in the prefect's family? Hi, it's not the prefect's little daughter who has taken a fancy to our Dr. Gu that she is sick repeatedly like this. Repeatedly sick? Yes. Ah Fei's words are simply enlightening. As long as you are sick, you can see a doctor. Ah Fei, to be honest, I came to Dr. Gu this time, and I really didn't catch up with him. Humph, then what are you doing? See a doctor or buy medicine? Ah Fei looked up and down at me and said. Looking at the dragon girl's demeanor, she is very strong, but she doesn't look like a sick person. Do I have to be sick myself? Can't my mother be sick? No, that's not possible, Lingtang is stronger than you. Ah Fei squinted at the door, and my mother was rolling up her sleeves to gather a crowd to gamble. Great. Big. Great. As soon as the bowl was lifted, my mother won. When she was happy, she lifted the strongman at hand. I patted Ah Fei on the shoulder and said excitedly. Look, what is this not sick? Whose good mother has nothing to do with lifting people to play? Ah Fei was speechless. Silently help me register my medical record. I peeked over and there were 3 big words in the column of illness, neuropathy. 31. If you want to find Guzichin, you still have to seek medical treatment, and the person you haven't seen for several days in a row actually delivered it to your door in person today. Miss Long, where is Lingtang? I'm going out to play. I poured tea as I spoke, but he didn't even sit down, turned around and left. Hey, Emperor, wait a minute. Miss Long, my surname is Gu, not the Emperor you said. Yes, I made a slip of the tongue, Dr. Gu, did you call Dr. Gu? Gu Zichen frowned and said unhappily. Since Lingtang is not here, let's go to see a doctor another day. I saw that he still had to leave, and hurriedly said that I was also sick. Gu Zichen looked at me with a suspicious look. Really, I've been feeling unwell lately, and I need Dr. Gu's help to take a look. Really? What's uncomfortable? It's uncomfortable everywhere. Miss Long, don't make any more trouble for me. What chaos? It's not that I don't pay for the consultation. Besides, you are a doctor, can you still die without help? Gu Zichen couldn't talk to me, and finally sat down. Hello Dr. Gu. Dr. Gu drinks tea. I respectfully handed Gu Zichen a cup of tea, but he didn't take it, just said. Since you are unwell, then check your pulse first. Finished. If you diagnose me as pretending to be sick, won't you be angry with me? I was a little timid, although he always said that he was not an emperor, but his whole body was no less than that of the emperor. The eyes are soft but hidden coercion. I couldn't resist at all, so I obediently put my hand on the pulse pillow. 32. Gu Zichen's fingertips pressed around my wrist, and I took the opportunity to organize words frantically in my mind. When he exposes my tricks, will I be stubborn to the end, or will I admit my mistake honestly? It's very entangled. I stole a glance at Gu Zichen and unexpectedly found that his expression was even more entangled than mine. Dr. Gu, what's wrong with you? Miss Long, wait a moment. Gu Zichen turned around and took out a medical book from his small box and quickly flipped through it in front of me. No, aren't you a miracle doctor? Why do you still bring your current learning? My eyes rolled and I felt confident for a while. Looking at him like this, he probably can't expose me. Unexpectedly, after he finished flipping through the medical book, his face was solemn, and his red lips opened lightly, giving me a fatal blow. Miss Long, you are not human. I slammed the table and stood up. Everyone is a decent person, why are you scolding the street? 33. I pointed at Gu Zichen, filled with righteous indignation. Gu Zichen looked at me, as calm as water. Neither of us had any intention of giving in. Until there was a commotion on the street, and the crowd ran in terror. Dragon! Dragon! It's a dragon! I was shocked. How did you find it? How long have I been transforming into a dragon? This is revealing. When I looked at Gu Zichen again, he had already quickly run to the door. I followed and found that the people on the street were all running around. Go and see, there is a dragon in the moat, bigger than this street. Don't go, hide quickly, dragons will eat people. Some people go to see the excitement, some people hide around. I slammed my head on the door. This guy is definitely my mother. When I was young, she also appeared in the world and she made a fuss. After sobering up, I was ashamed and fled to Qingqiu at night, and I became neighbors with a group of foxes for 100 years. 34. What happened this time? I'll have to go and see. Miss Long, where are you going? I'll go see my mother. Facing Gu Zichen's confused eyes, I quickly changed my words and said, I'll go see my mother, she's so lively all day long, it won't be good if she gets hurt by a dragon. I hurried to the moat, but I didn't expect Gu Zichen to follow. I couldn't take care of much, and I saw my mother churning in the river from a distance. It was like lice on the body, making the good river water muddy, and most of the nearby trees and crops suffered. My mother didn't care, she was full of burps, and the smell of alcohol was sky high. I wanted to get closer, but Gu Zichen grabbed me. Dangerous. In fact, the real dragon is very decent, and will not hurt people easily. How do you know? My mother said it. This is the truth. Even if the true dragon has no intention of hurting people. Such a behemoth approaching at will is always dangerous. He stopped me from approaching, so I had to shout loudly. Stop tossing, go back quickly. I cried a few times and my mother finally noticed me. I waved at her and asked her to leave. But she swayed towards me and even tried to climb ashore. I'm really drunk at Grandma's house. 35. No, let's go. Guzichin grabbed my arm, pulled me up and ran. I looked back at my mother, and when she saw that I was being dragged away, she seemed to be angry, and suddenly flew into the air and rushed straight at us. I know that her target is Guzichin. But Guzichin didn't know that at a critical moment, he actually pressed me under him, and wanted to protect me with his body. I shouted, "Don't come here." My mother looked like she didn't understand, opened her mouth and picked up Guzichin from me and threw it out. Guzichin fell and fainted on the spot. It's done, it's done. Mother, sober up, this is the world, stop making trouble. Hearing the words in the world, my mother's eyes seemed to be clearer. I took the opportunity to persuade again. The Zhonglang you like is probably also looking at you. My mother's eyes were shocked. The huge dragon head began to look around. Don't look for it, hide quickly. The giant dragon suddenly couldn't even fly, and quickly climbed into the moat one by one, never showing up again. 36. In the Gu family medical center, Fei was treating Guzichin. Fortunately, the fall was not serious, just take a few doses of medicine and rest more. I lay in front of Guzichin's bed, feeling extremely puzzled. He is so fragile, is he really not an emperor? However, except for the lack of immortal energy, he was obviously no different from the emperor. But it doesn't matter, he is good to anyone, as long as he is happy. Miss Long, run. Guzichin was unconscious, and a few dream words came out of his mouth from time to time. Either make me careful or let me run fast. I looked at his pale face, and was ashamed of it. I was all implicated. He doesn't resent me, he still thinks about me like this. What a good person. 37. There was a sudden noise outside the door, and I listened for a while, and it turned out that it was the prefect's youngest daughter who came over. Fei has been tactfully blocking. Miss, Dr. Gu is not suitable to see guests at this moment, and I hope the young lady will understand. Don't worry, Fei, my young lady is here to care about young Master Gu, and will not delay young Master Gu's rest. Hey, don't go in. Fei's voice stopped abruptly, and the door opened in response. Young Master Gu. Pink dress, pink peach blossoms, such a beautiful little girl. I sat on the edge of the bed, looking at this Miss Fan who was always sick, and before I could say hello, the little maid beside her roared. Are you the woman who provoked the falling dragon? Young Master Gu was injured by the falling dragon just to save you, right? I nodded, that's right. I'm putting this guilt aside. When Miss Fan heard this, her small face was about to cry, and her figure was a little unsteady. You are not proud, do you think that if young Master Gu saves you, he will like you and marry you? Wishful thinking. What is it? Why do you like me, why do you marry me? I didn't let him like me, and I didn't let him marry me. You really don't want to marry young Master Gu. During this time, although I pestered Guzichin every day, my mind was full of Guzichin, but I really didn't think about this problem. So I shook my head honestly. Dr. Gu is awake. Fei shouted in surprise. I quickly turned around. Huh? Dr. Gu, why is your face so dark? Wasn't it very pale just now? 38. Fei, see off the guests. Guzichin gave an order, and Fei seemed to have followed the imperial decree, and mercilessly blasted us all out. Miss Fan shed tears on the spot and covered her face and left. Her maid scolded and scolded, what did she do to Fei? I shouted in before leaving. Dr. Gu, I'll come to see you tomorrow. Then I ate behind closed doors for 3 days in a row. 39. My mother gave advice and said, Men, most of the time you have to coax. Next time you go to him, don't go empty-handed, bring some things he likes, as soon as he is happy, let alone meat, it's no problem to kiss him. I nodded and wanted to ask a few more questions. My mother waved her hand and said, My son will go groping for himself, and he wants to listen to Meng Lang singing for his mother. Isn't it Zhong Lang? Zhong Lang will make an appointment tomorrow. I clasped my hands and accepted the teaching. 40. I asked Ah Fei that Gu Zichen had always wanted to go to Jianfeng Mountain to dig some wild ginseng, but the mountain was steep and difficult to climb. Miss Long, if you are interested in Dr. Gu, hold on tight. What do you mean? The prefect doesn't seem to be able to resist that young lady, and 2 days ago, he asked someone to ask Dr. Gu about the horoscope regardless of his family's opinion. So that Miss Fan is going to marry Dr. Gu. Ah Fei stomped his feet in a hurry and said repeatedly. No, 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 if the prefect really proposes, Dr. Gu will definitely refuse. I am afraid that he will offend the prefect and have no good life at that time. Are you sure Dr. Gu will refuse? Of course, I've been with him for so many years, and I've never seen him pay attention to women. Only when I saw you for the first time, my eyes were stunned, like a hairy boy who was just starting to fall in love. As a result, you said Emperor on the left and Emperor on the right, and you pressed back his little sign. 41. As the name suggests, the Sword Blade Mountain is like a sharp sword piercing the sky. It may have been difficult for me to climb before, but now I got stuck on a tree branch. In the form of a dragon. Damn it, why can't you move freely after turning into a dragon? My limbs are like undomesticated beasts, each with its own place. I struggled to get it all to no avail, and I couldn't change back into a human form. Perhaps because this mountain is extremely steep and dangerous, I was stuck here for a day and a night, and no one found it. Slowly, my consciousness as a human being gradually dissipated, and I seemed to forget that I was once a human. Just as I was about to open my mouth to bite a passing hair, Gu Zichen's shout came from the distance. Miss Long. Human consciousness has an instant return. I am afraid that he will bump into it, and in a moment of urgency, he will change back into a person with a bang. Then he became dizzy and fainted. I'm here. I responded loudly and fell to the ground, no longer able to hold on. Only then did I realize that there must be something strange about this mountain, and there seemed to be some force pulling me on the mountain. The characteristics of the dragon in my body are crazy and restless, and I can hardly suppress it. 42. Long girl. Gu Zichen crawled towards me with a muddy face, his movements flustered, his expression nervous, and he completely lost his former calm. I smiled and said hello to him, and his eyes instantly turned red. Don't be afraid, Miss Long, I'm here. Gu Zichen helped me up. I was weak, and could only lean into his arms. It's all my fault, I shouldn't have closed the door to you, otherwise, you wouldn't have come to this kind of place. He looked at my body as he spoke, and when he gently pulled open my sleeves, my heart was shaken. Dragon scales. I obviously tried to maintain my human form. How could there be so many dragon scales? I heard from my ancestors that this mountain will make the alien race appear and disturb the alien energy. But it doesn't matter, as long as you stay away, it will heal itself. Miss Long, don't be afraid, I'll take you down. Dr. Gu, aren't you afraid? What am I afraid of? I'm not human. Your pulse has already told me. Gu Zichen chuckled, bent down to pick me up and recalled. The first time I saw you, I felt that such a beautiful and smart girl must not belong to the world. Beautiful and smart. I looked at the scales and sharp nails on my arms, and touched the horns on my forehead. Suddenly sadness came from the heart. But now it's ugly. It's not ugly, although I haven't seen other demons, but you must be the most beautiful. I laughed haha and quickly held back. Almost lost control of the dragon. 43. We finally went down the mountain and sat under the big tree to rest. Looking at Dr. Gu, who had a dirty face and disheveled clothes, I couldn't help but sigh. It's a pity, if only I could dig wild ginseng. It's okay, the wild ginseng in my store has been used for a long time. It turned out that Ah Fei also told him that I wanted to give him wild ginseng. That's different, my mother said, if I give you a gift, when you are happy, you will not only meet me but also kiss me. Ha! Dr. Gu, why is your face so red? Miss Long, no, don't talk nonsense. Isn't it right? If I give you wild ginseng, you won't kiss me. Gu Zichen covered my mouth. I had not yet recovered my physical strength, so I could only shut up honestly. You don't have to give me anything. He looked at me, his palm loosening my mouth but covering my eyes. In the darkness, I felt his approach. Then the lips and tongue fell into a softness. He smells good. I was intoxicated. 44. When my mother knew that I was going to marry Gu Zichen, her expression was very confused. Marry him? In this way, you can only kiss him in the future. Yes. Then what if you meet a better-looking male? What if you like 3 males at the same time? I thought about it for a while, and I thought I would definitely not like any male except Gu Zichen. Mother, I just want him. My mother looked at me like a fool. 45. On the day of the wedding, Gu Zichen rode a tall white horse. He had an outstanding temperament in a red dress, which attracted cheers from the people. I covered my face with a fan and got into the sedan chair excitedly. Life is short, it doesn't matter, I will accompany him to the end. 46. Extra 1, Bright Moon Envoy. It's strange. The Donghua Emperor, who lived the same life as heaven and earth, recently began to look for an heir. There are only a few immortals of his level left in heaven and earth, where can they easily find an heir? The Emperor's heavenly responsibility is not something ordinary people can shoulder. I thought he was just on a whim, but I didn't expect him to look for it conscientiously for hundreds of years, and he really let him find it. Why did you give up the position of Emperor? I asked. I don't want to do it anymore. I rubbed my ears. There is a high probability that I have heard it wrong, and the immortal who has no desire and no desire in his life is calm and indifferent, has emotions. Why? I'm tired of it. Then what do you plan to do after abdicating? Feathering. I spat out all the tea soup in one gulp, thinking I had heard it again. Why? Well, probably, I'm tired of living. Donghua didn't joke. He was very serious about preparing for feathering. He was really leaving. Although he lived to his age and cultivated to his level, it would be strange if he could not break life and death. But I just can't figure it out, nothing has happened that is worth him to feather. It wasn't until I met Lady Fate that the two of us added up the timeline to finally figure out the situation. The fate of Fate is unbreakable, he is escaping from love. I applaud and rejoice. Is women really so scary? Scared Donghua would rather be feathered. Isn't it a blessing to have someone who can dance hand in hand for a period of time in the never-ending life? 47. Maybe I'm young and haven't practiced enough. I have known Donghua for only 1,000 years, and I have been friends with him for a long time, and I have not yet reached the level where I can calmly watch him feather. I can't bear to let him go. Chance is even more so. So we hit it off, carried him on our backs, and made a big one. Isn't it just a love? Are there still few immortals in the upper realm who go to the mortal world to experience the love tribulation? It will only take 100 years. Very fast. 48. Relying on Donghua's trust in me, as well as the ancient artifacts borrowed by chance. We finally took the lead before he feathered, and cast a spell to send his soul into the mortal world. There are thousands of worlds. As for whether he lives with the little girl for the same life, it is fate. As for whether he will meet the little girl, let it be. As for whether the two of them can write a relationship, it is even more casual. 49. Many years later, Donghua's body regained consciousness. I know that the mortal world has returned to the West. Over the years, I have long been prepared to be reprimanded and punished by him, but after he opened his eyes, he was about to descend to earth without even looking at me. What are you doing in the mortal world? The love is over and the two are no longer bound by the mandate of heaven. Take my wife. Ha! 50. Extra 2, Dragon Dragon. My husband buried it in the morning and came back in the afternoon. My tears of mourning have not yet dried. Zeichen. Dragon. It's really him. I was extremely pleasantly surprised and threw myself into his arms. Gu Zeichen, you scared me to death, I thought I would never see you again. Longer, I'm back, we'll never be apart again. We hugged each other tightly and kissed inseparably. Several coughs sounded untimely. I looked at the people who came, one was a tall and handsome man, and the other was a beautiful sister who was delicate and moving. I scratched my head, always feeling a little familiar, but I couldn't remember where I had seen them. Donghua, I'm sorry, we were really curious, so we couldn't help but follow us, we didn't mean to peek. When I heard this title, my eyes widened and I looked at Gu Zeichen. Donghua? He called you Donghua. You are the Emperor of Donghua, right? Yes. Then when I called you Donghua Emperor, why didn't you admit it? Longer, this matter is a long story, in short, I was really just Gu Zeichen at that time. I looked at him with a cautious look in my eyes, as if I was afraid that I would be angry about this. Just like after marrying him all these years, he was always reluctant to frown at me, so he always patiently coaxed me. How can I be willing to worry about such a person? I'm not angry, you can call me whatever you want, no matter what you call, it's my man anyway. 51. Don't be sad, my son has found some pretty good men for you, not worse than your dead husband. My mother's voice stopped abruptly. The moment she saw Donghua, she blinked several times before she dared to admit it. Son-in-law. Aren't you already buried? Mother-in-law, I'm back, so I don't have to worry about you finding a new man for longer. Donghua's words were vaguely gritted his teeth. He has always disliked my mother's view of the relationship between men and women, for fear that I would be infected by my mother. He has always been very preventive of my mother. 52. My mother waved her hand, not caring. Don't forget it. She turned to leave, only to find that there were other people in the yard. Hey! This is a beautiful woman, looks a bit familiar. The beauty quickly knelt down and kowtowed, saying, Little girl, meet Lord Zhenlong. My mother turned to the man and asked, You are the Mingyue envoy of Yuling Mountain, right? I have seen you at a gluttonous feast. The man bowed and then replied respectfully. Return to Lord Zhenlong, right below. My mother smacked her lips and said with some regret. It's really unpleasant to have such a good banquet only once in 800 years. Since it is Lord Zhenlong's suggestion, I will issue an order here, and this gluttonous feast will be handled as soon as possible. My mother was so happy that she couldn't wait to recognize Mingyue as her son on the spot. Before leaving, my mother picked up Yuan Ji, patted her on the shoulder and said, I think of you Xiao Yuanji, you have been doing well in heaven all these years. Fear of opportunity, everything depends on the protection of Lord True Dragon. It's easy to say. My mother waved her hand, took a group of beautiful men, and left in a mighty manner. I don't know how long it will take for her to think of me when she left this time, so she hurriedly chased after me and shouted. Mother, Gu Zeichen is the Emperor of Donghua, you are not mistaken. Got it.